Hi, my name's Danny Green. I'm a Canon explorer, which is part of the Canon Ambassador Programme. I'm a wildlife photography specialist, and this short video is going to just hopefully give you some advice on some of the various lenses that I use for some of the various subjects that I photograph. So the first lens I want to really show you and talk about is this little beauty, which is the 16 to 35mm. This is a great little lens to have in your camera bag. It doesn't take up much weight, and because I'm travelling with a lot of lenses for various techniques, this is a nice lens that is kind of like just sits in my bag for most of my travels. It's got image stabilizer built in, so I can handheld it at quite relatively slow shutter speeds. And the beauty about this lens is obviously the 16mm gives me a really wide angle vista, and going up to a 35mm as well. I think this is a great lens, all-round lens, not just for wildlife and landscape photographers, but you know, if you're into architecture or even portraits, it's a great lens which fits in most photographers' camera bags. Okay, so moving on from the 16 to 35mm, this is the next lens I want to show you, which is the 24 to 70mm. It's giving me a slightly bit more range on this on the small telephoto zoom lens. Again, it's another compact lens, great to fit in the camera bag. One that I always again try and fit in if I can. And it just gives me that little bit of flexibility. Sometimes when you want to try and do a landscape and you just need to zoom in a little bit more, again, just a great lens for that. Sharp throughout from the 24mm up to the 70mm. There's no fall off on the lens. You know, optically, I think it's one of the best lenses that Canon makes. It's a beautiful addition to your camera bag. Okay, the next lens I want to talk to you about is the 100mm macro lens. Again, this is just a great little lens to have in your camera bag. Like I say, I spend a lot of time in the field. I might come across a butterfly or a flower, and having this lens in the bag just allows me to photograph them subjects. So I kind of get some images from a long day spent in the field. The other thing about this lens as well is, you know, a lot of people ask me about, I really like to get into wildlife photography, but I haven't got the budget to stretch to one of these super telephoto zoom lenses. So I kind of say as well, you know, macro photography is a great way to get into the field. And I actually think some of the best wildlife photographers are actually macro photographers. They kind of see light in a different way. They know they have this limitation what they can work with, but they produce some really artistic images. And when you think about it, macro is all around you. It's either in the garden or it's in a little bit of local woodland, you know, near where you live. Okay, now we're going to look at is the new Canon 100 to 400mm lens. I think this has been Canon's most eagerly awaited lens that's kind of come on the market in the last 2 years. A lot of people that I know have come across used the older version, the old 100 to 400, and I think this was a lens that was really set the bar for you know, kind of like fantastic zoom lenses. I've, like I say, really put this lens through its paces. It's razor sharp throughout the range, whether it's at the 100mm or right up to the 400mm range of the lens. It's really smooth as well, smooth focusing, smooth like zooming into that, and you know, just a great bit of kit really. What I really like about this lens as well is actually just real close focusing as well. So, you know, kind of less than a meter, which is again perfect for doing some macro photography, maybe some fungi or even you know, patterns on trees. It's a great versatile lens for that. It's super sharp as well, and great autofocus. You've got the image stabilizers built in as well, and so great lens to handheld. And it's not a lens that's overly heavy, so it's within most people's capability of carrying around for a full day in the field. It's not going to break your back by carrying this lens around. So another great addition to the Canon range, and you know, I think a really useful lens if you wanted to go into that wildlife market. Okay, the next lens I want to talk to you about is the Canon 300mm 2.8 lens. Now, this is a lens that, you know, if you're going to really stretch to your budget, I think this is a perfect wildlife photographer's lens. It gives you this great flexibility. It looks heavy when it's on a tripod, but it's actually a very light lens. It's a lens that I like to use by handheld in, especially if I'm trying to do birds in flight. So if I'm at a seabird colony trying to photograph puffins or gannets in flight, it's just a perfect way. It kind of sits nicely in my hand. It doesn't put too much strain on my arm or my shoulder. It's also gives, because of the lightness, it's a lens that you can carry around with you. It's not going to break your back when you're walking over long distances. It works really well with the converters attached as well, whether you use a 1.4 or even a 2x converter, which then gives you the equivalent of a 600mm lens. I think a great lens for producing really nice portraits as well. What it does is when you work with it wide open, it kind of throws out the background and the foregrounds. You can get some really nice effects, kind of, you know, so all your attention is on the subject you're trying to photograph. By and large, a great lens to maybe to look into if you really are going for that specialist wildlife photography lens. Okay, my last but not least lens. I'm not going to really call this a pocket-sized lens. This is a beast of a lens, really, but I actually think this is one of Canon's flagship lenses. It's the 200 to 400mm lens, and it's actually got a built-in 1.4 converter, so giving you a range from 200mm right up to 560mm. I think this is one of the best lenses that Canon makes, really. It's just giving you that flexibility what a kind of a prime lens doesn't. It makes you much more creative photography because not everything's big in the frame. You can zoom out and really take pictures completely different, from maybe close-up portraits to zooming out to the 200mm and then incorporating the environment of your animal. I think it's a fantastic bit of lens. It will stretch your budget. These lenses are not cheap, but I think this, if there's one lens that you're going to buy, I think this would do the job that kind of free lenses would. And so I think it's great value for money, really, for what it does give you. Okay, well, that's me done. Hopefully that's gone through a selection of some of the lenses that I use throughout my wildlife photography. Hopefully it's inspired you to maybe kind of purchase your next lens, or inspired you to helping you in a way, kind of thinking that you've got a lens that you've decided, but then you've gone from to a different take. I think this is usually a huge market for lenses, and hopefully I've helped you along the way in making your decision. Thanks for Jessups for bringing me out into the wilds of Leicestershire. Although I live here, I'd spend most of my time out, and it's nice to get back up into the woods on my local patch.